Alright everyone, let me tell you what's happening with this weather pattern because things are getting absolutely wild out there. I've been watching these models shift back and forth like a pendulum, and today they made a massive leap toward the cold side. We're talking a complete reversal from what we've been seeing over the past few days. The models had been trending warmer, almost teasing us with milder conditions, but now they've slammed the door shut on that idea and cranked up the cold air like someone just flipped a switch. Now, here's what makes this so interesting. For days, I've been tracking snowfall opportunities across the north-central United States, the Plains, the Midwest, the Great Lakes region. Those areas have been locked in for winter weather regardless of what was happening further east. But suddenly, we're bringing the Ohio Valley, the Northeast, and the Mid-Atlantic back into this conversation. These models cannot make up their minds about whether these eastern regions are going to cash in on significant regions. Snow as we roll through late November and into December. It's this constant back and forth. This indecision that honestly makes forecasting this pattern both frustrating and exhilarating at the same time. Let me paint you a picture of what the National Weather Service is thinking for December 2nd through 8th. They're showing us this major trough, this massive dip in the jet stream setting up right over the central states. It's positioned so that roughly half of it sits over the eastern United States. What does that mean for temperatures? We're looking at cooler conditions pushing into the northeast, but here's the catch. There's this pesky southeast ridge that keeps flexing its muscles throughout early December. Some of the model guidance validates this ridge being strong and persistent. Other guidance suggests maybe we're overplaying it a bit. That it won't be quite as dominant as it appears, by the way. If you'd like specific weather forecasts for your region or city, please leave them in the comments. I'll answer them individually as time allows. Also, if you liked the video and subscribed to my channel, you'd be very grateful. Now, let's move on. I'm going to be honest with you, I'm genuinely 50-50 on this. I think what we're seeing right now might be the more aggressive interpretation of that southeast ridge based on what the models have been showing over the last several days. Could it be less pronounced? Absolutely. Could it look exactly like this? Sure. I'm staying neutral on that specific detail because there are different possibilities still in play. Atmospheric ridges have a way of surprising us. What I can tell you with confidence is that this ridge will be there to some extent, especially at certain points throughout this period. And we're going to dig deep into that as we go along. But before we dive into the forecast models, I need to talk about what's happening right now across the south-central states. We've got severe weather firing across Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and especially Louisiana. Earlier today, there was a confirmed tornado that touched down in Klein, Texas, that's in the outer suburbs of Houston. And listen, I know when you hear the term slight risk from the Storm Prediction Center, your brain automatically thinks it's not going to be that bad. But here's the reality check you need. A slight risk still means there's a chance for really dangerous, destructive weather. Even a small probability of catastrophic events is something you have to take seriously. This tornado in Klein is the perfect example of why we can never let our guard down. Even when the risk categories sound minimal, something about this particular severe weather setup over the next few days has felt elevated to me compared to what we typically see this time of year. It's more significant than the previous event that rolled through. My instincts have been leaning that direction all along. Meanwhile, up north, the northern Rockies are getting hammered with snowfall throughout today. The contrast between what's happening in the south and what's happening in the north is stark. And it's about to get even more dramatic down now. Let's talk about what's developing up north because this is where things get fascinating from a winter weather perspective. There's a low-pressure system organizing over the upper Midwest. It's already triggering snowfall for the Dakotas and Minnesota. Before this system even reached those areas, Wyoming and Montana were dealing with it. This thing is behaving like a clipper system, which means the far northern areas are getting whacked with moderate to heavy snowfall over a relatively quick period of time. It's fast-moving, but I'm packed to full. As we push toward Wednesday, watch what happens. That low-pressure system intensifies dramatically over the Great Lakes. Behind it, we've got cold air wrapping around counterclockwise. And suddenly, Minnesota, Iowa, Illinois, Wisconsin, and Michigan's Upper Peninsula are all experiencing moderate to heavy snowfall. This is textbook cold air wraparound snow. Wednesday's thunderstorm threat will be possible up and down the mid-Atlantic and southeast coastline. Right now, there's no severe weather risk designated for Wednesday, just general thunderstorms. But let me be crystal clear about something. General thunderstorms can still produce severe weather even when forecasters aren't expecting it. Any thunderstorm is dangerous. Lightning kills. Flooding kills. I cannot stress this enough. Thursday is Thanksgiving. And this is when our full-blown cooldown crashes into the eastern United States. Some of that snowfall begins transferring eastward. It becomes difficult to pinpoint exactly where the main area of low pressure is located at this stage. But most likely we're dealing with a low somewhere across the central states. There's a cold front trailing behind it, and a warm front lifting northward. When you're dealing with a warm front, that rain snow line across the eastern states is going to be pushing northward. Areas along and south of that warm front are probably going to struggle with accumulating snowfall, whereas the areas that have already been pounded with heavy snow are going to have an easier time maintaining winter weather again. This is Sunday the 30th. As we transition into Monday, December 1st, another cold air mass comes crashing in. This is happening primarily due to the polar vortex event that we've been predicting for an extended period of time. We're finally seeing the yield from that stratospheric disruption. We're finally experiencing the impacts. That polar vortex displacement, combined with the warmer air setup in the west, is what's forcing this pattern. The polar vortex disruption sends cold air somewhere, has to go somewhere. The cold air doesn't just disappear. The positive PNA pattern is what determines where that cold air ends up, and in this case, it's targeting the central and eastern United States specifically. I hope that makes sense. Now let's wrap up with the severe weather outlook, because this is critically important for the next several days. For today, Monday the 24th, extending into Tuesday morning, we have a general thunderstorm risk in the lighter green shaded areas. Please still pay attention even in these zones because anything is possible. The darker green represents the level 1 marginal risk where isolated severe weather is expected. For Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, and a sliver of southern Arkansas, we have a level 2 slight risk. That term slight sounds much more benign than it actually is. This is a mid-tier risk for severe weather. Take it seriously. For day 2, we've got the same general thunderstorm risk and marginal risk covering much of the deeper south. Just like I told you yesterday, I suspected we'd get a slight risk upgrade, and we did for Alabama and Mississippi on Tuesday the 25th. Then for day 3, we actually have a general thunderstorm risk for areas of New York in late November. That's absolutely crazy. For much of the southeast, mid-Atlantic, and even parts of very far southern New England, plus small portions of southern Texas and southern Florida, we have 4 separate general thunderstorm risk areas on day 3, which is Wednesday. That's pretty wild for this time of year, alright? If you'd like specific weather forecasts for your region or city, leave your region or city in the comments. I'll answer them individually as I have time. Commenting is completely free. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.